Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be going over my TBR for the month of May, and this was an interesting TBR for me to put together. For some reason, I was having a really hard time figuring out what I wanted to read. It was like nothing I had on the docket was something I was really in the mood for. So if you have any suggestions or anything you would like to see me read, let me know down in the comments, and it has a higher chance than usual for me to pick up because I don't know, it's not that there's not stuff I want to read, it's just for whatever reason, nothing was really speaking to me while I was putting together for this list. So I will say this has high likelihood of some changes coming to it, but I will do my best to stick to it as best I can. And I do always update my weekly reading on my Instagram, so you can check that out if you care. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the books. And starting off with, I will be starting my journey back into the world of Malazan with Memories of Ice by Stephen Erickson. I really think this is going to be the make it or break it book for me when it comes to this series. So I had I'll say mixed experience with Dead House Gates. There were huge swaths of that book that I did not enjoy. I thought it was boring. I didn't always understand exactly what was going on, which is to be expected to a certain point. Now, the end of that story was pretty epic and had some crazy moments, and I am glad I stuck with it and pushed through. But I think if I have a similar experience, or hopefully not a worse experience with Memories of Ice, it might be time for me to be done with this series, which is hard to say because so many people whose opinion I respect and value talk so highly about this series. And so I want to be one of those people who enjoy the series. So hopefully Memories of Ice is, a tick back up the ladder because it's a series I want to be into, I want to like. And like I said, so many people speak so highly and just how brilliant the series is. So hopefully I can be one of those people who get into it. I will say, I do not plan on finishing this book in May and maybe not even June. I really plan on taking my time with it. If it is structured similarly to Dead House Gates with like individual sections in it, I'm probably going to do sections more than just really trying to push through it all and finish it in a month. I think that might help my enjoyment of it, and that way I don't get too burnt out on such a long book that's going to obviously have so much going on in it. So that is kind of my plans for Memory of Ice, and that is obviously a super long book, which I plan on kind of breaking that up with a very, very small book. I think this is, I don't even know if you technically call it a novella, but that is The Ice Dragon by George R.R. Martin. I had no idea this book existed until I think I saw Joanna reading it, and I was like, oh, I thought I had read everything from the world of Westeros that Martin had written. And obviously that is not the case because I have not read this short story. I don't really know too much about it other than the title and that it's in this world, and I want to go back to it and enjoy it. I think once I read this, I've read everything else. I've read, obviously, the whole series, the Of Blood and Fire book, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and then this. So if there's other stuff I'm missing out there, let me know, because it's a world I really like. It's one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. And so to be missing any pieces of it, I'm a little bit of a completionist. That's why I read the Cosmere all in 1 year. So that is my plan there. Next up, I will be returning to I would probably say he is my favorite author, which is an interesting thing to say, because I've only read 4 books by him, and that author is Liu Cixin, who is the author of The Three-Body Problem, The Dark Forest, and Death's End, which is my favorite book of all time. I also have read, it's called Ball Lightning, which you can kind of say is like a prequel to The Three-Body Problem, but not really. He's a hard science fiction writer, and he has a book called Supernova Era that I have been putting off for a long time. I don't know why. I have really liked everything and loved half of what I have read by him. So it is time for me to return to him. Hopefully this is a book that I enjoy. I have said for a long time he was my favorite author, and I think there are now some other authors that are kind of challenging that. So I think it's a good time for me to dive back in. He has a very dry writing style. A lot of time his characters are not the best, but he has broken my brain multiple times and has just done things into my brain that just, I don't think it's the same after reading some of his books, and that is why I have such a deep admiration for some of his stories. So hopefully Supernova Era is another one that I can add to that list of just, destroying concepts that I didn't realize were a thing. After that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to read The Crossing. So this is the follow-up to All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy. I loved All the Pretty Horses. It's one of my favorite books I've ever read. McCarthy as an author has been very hit and miss for me. I know that this is not really a direct sequel, but from what I've heard about it, it's going to be a book that I really like. And so it would be awesome to get another 5-star read from McCarthy. This takes place a little bit earlier in history, and I think it has to do with, once again, settling west and the cowboyish kind of stuff. Once again, I don't know too much about it because I don't like to really get into things that I'm going to read beforehand. But once again, McCarthy, such an interesting author for me. Some of the worst books I have read come from him, and then obviously some of my favorite, The Road and All the Pretty Horses, just meant magnificent books for me. So I'm hoping The Crossing is in that upper part of my ranking of McCarthy reads. I'm going to continue my exploration of Stephen King's work as well. I have only read 3 Stephen King's books. I just recently did my review of Misery. I have also read Cujo and It, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into Salem's Lot from Stephen King. I know a little bit about this. I think I kind of know like the twist that is supposed to happen in the story, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. I'm really just enjoying everything I've read from King. So everybody talks highly of this book as well, so I'm not expecting me not to enjoy it. So I'm just kind of looking forward to getting back into his writing and his worlds and just how he makes you feel like you're there and really part of what's going on. And the last thing I am going to for sure get into in May is this 8 Billion Genus. This is actually a like completed comic series by Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. And you can see it's full color, it's super beautiful, all kinds of stuff. I don't really know too much about it. The basic premise is everywhere at precisely the same moment, everyone on Earth gets a genie and one wish. So this is getting some kind of adaptation with like Ryan Reynolds, and I think Amazon is doing like a movie and like TV shows set in this universe, and I saw that and was like, sounds like an interesting read. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out. I don't know if I'll do a review for that since it's a comic on the channel, but if it is good enough or I feel like it kind of fits what I'm going for, I will definitely do that as well. And as always, as a mood reader, and especially this month where not a lot was speaking to me, I have a couple of other things that I'm considering maybe picking up if I'm feeling it at the time. And one will be Master of White Storm by Janny Wirtz. I really thought about continuing the Wars of Light and Shadow this month, but with starting Memories of Ice at the same time, I thought it would be better to wait, but I really wanted to get back to Janny Wirtz's writing, so I decided to pick up this one. I know this is not one of her more well-known books. I think To Ride Hell's Chasm would be a better one that more people would tell me to read, but I don't know. I know I have this one somewhere, and I wanted to read it and kind of get back to her, so it is in the running for a possibility. I also have We Are the Dead by Mike Shackle. This is a trilogy. I know it's very grimdark, and that's pretty much all I know about it. I know a lot of people have spoken very highly of it, so it is another one I'm considering. I am also still considering Starship Troopers by Heinlein. I don't really know too much about it. I know I've heard he is very heavy-handed with how he feels about things in this book, but it's still just one of those books that I want to get to at some point. And I am also considering The Umbral Storm by Alex Hudson. This is a fantasy story. Don't know too much about it. This is one that I saw the cover for and was like, looks cool. I'm going to add it to my list, and so it has the option of maybe being something I read this month. Once again, if you have suggestions, it can be literally anything that you want me to read. Let me know down in the comments. It could be something that if it strikes my fancy, I will pick it up right away. I will quickly mention that I will be continuing my manga that I read. I don't talk too much about it here on the channel, but that's Boruto, Black Clover, Vinland Saga, Berserk. I'm rereading Dragon Ball Z still, One Piece. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but you know, just some of those ones that I have been constantly reading here for a while and looking forward to when they come out weekly or monthly or, you know, who knows, yearly sometimes in the case of Berserk. But that is my general plan for the month of May. Let me know what you have planned down below in the comments. And once again, any suggestions, I am very much looking forward to them. And as always, have a good one.